James, are you also in Chicago?
I live in Denver now, but I'm originally from Chicago area. Yeah.
Ooh, Denver. Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. I love Chicago with all my heart.
Yeah.
But it's good to be out here as well.
Cool. How about you, Dustin? You're still based in Chicago, right?
Yes, I
You're with the
am.
gang.
I am with the gang.
It's not in the same building though, right? You guys are now in a different building? Or did you just
So
move floors?
I'm trying to think when you left, if we were still in the small building or if we were in.
No, it was well, what what's small?
There was Adams, right, which you guys originally had, and then
Yeah,
there was
we had Adams that fit about 50 people. We then moved over to Van Buren, which had about 100. Um, could fit about
I
100 people, and then we had to move
yeah.
floors.
Yeah. I saw the because you guys were in the new building when I came there several times. And
Yep.
we had there were multiple floors. We don't you like we? Hey, listen, my heart, I'm all about payroll, but at the same time, I'm about cybersecurity as well, just
There you
like
go.
you, Dustin.
That's
On the
right.
payroll side, it's actually very cool how we have the interests on those sides.
I
Um,
agree.
so I know that we are recording, and just as an FYI, we will get started in just a few minutes. Although, James, is it James, or do you want me to call you Jim or Jimmy? What do you
James
prefer?
is fine.
James, okay, okay. So I always joke, you can call me anything except late for dinner.
Uh,
Because
Love that one.
people mispronounce my name all the time. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and it's on your side when you're ready to start.
Beautiful.
And so for the meantime, I'll probably keep myself on mute so you don't hear any background noise because it's amazing how many calls you can have, and then there's
yeah.
going to be a gardener, lawnmower,
Yeah.
leaf blower, phone. Oh, I get calls all the time, all day long. As a matter of fact, the phone rang a couple times just a few minutes ago. So anyway, I will go on mute, and then when you're ready, we will go ahead.
All right,
And
I'm ready when you guys are.
we are recording, just so you know.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right, ready to kick it off?
Yeah, let's go.
Beautiful. All right. Well, hey everyone. Got some beautiful people out there. We're really excited to have some conversation with you, and appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today. And really excited to chat with you. We've got a great lineup here. We're excited to talk about the parallels between a couple companies, between UZIO and CORO. We've got two terrific subject matter experts prepared to talk about some parallels today. Tanya Jacobson with UZIO and Dustin Small with CORO Cybersecurity. Dustin, really excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. My name is Dustin Small. We have formed a relationship with UZIO. Really excited about what we're going to be bringing today. There are a lot of parallels between both of the companies, from how we go to market, how we price, our target audience, and then most importantly, just really focusing on what it looks like to be most effective in the modern workspace that we sit in today. So my name is Dustin. I'm from Chicago, and I work over here at CORO. Tanya, did you want to give a quick introduction as well?
Howdy, folks. Yep. Definitely looking forward to talking about some pretty exciting topics here. We'll have some good stuff for you.
Great. So a lot of people wouldn't think that that payroll and cybersecurity would have a lot of parallels, but we really have found that both of what we're going to talk about today, that we both see a lot of the same business challenges in the market, of old ways of doing things compared to modern. And we're going to walk through some of those trends that we see today. And we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So, with that being said, this is what the agenda is going to look like. We're going to be talking about some of the technology and the operations and opportunities to improve those things to be able to really focus on enabling your business. Quick poll question for you guys out there real quick. If I was to ask you, within a workspace, what are the two most thankless jobs that people would have out there, what would we say?
Oh, I've got this one hands down because we deal with it every day. IT and payroll, without a doubt.
Oh, Jimmy, it's almost like you knew the answer to that. And that's right, right? The reality is that within cyber or within technology, oftentimes everything is going to be break fix. Oftentimes within cybersecurity, you're pulled in a lot of different directions, and nobody really says anything to you or says thank you while everything's running flawlessly until something is actually broken, right? Which can take away them from some of the IT person's day-to-day tasks. Same thing with payroll. We all get paid, right? We all get our money and away we go. But we don't necessarily focus oftentimes on the HR person that has had to put in all their time and effort to be able to really effectively make sure that you get paid and onboarded and benefits enrolled and everything on time. So that is true. Those two jobs within any business, go thank your technology people for allowing your business to run, and thank your HR people for allowing you to get paid and do everything that they do. Really right in front of us from a cybersecurity standpoint, cybersecurity has really been changing. And what we've seen is that organizations really need more than, malware and phishing tools. And, there are a lot of frameworks that are out there. And one specifically, NIST, has really evolved to making sure that every aspect of your business is covered. So protecting your endpoints, your cloud apps, and all of these different things are going to be building blocks of your security posture. But a lot of these things have become commoditized, have become expensive. Most tools on the market are good for specific attack vectors, and they all pass the same test. But businesses are really now seeking, one vendor, one service, and one platform at really an affordable point for two reasons. With that being said, I'm going to throw it over to Tanya real quick because we've seen some similarities, that goes beyond paying just employees.
Absolutely. Taking care of your employees is more than just paying them. We all like those paychecks now, don't we? As we've seen in the labor market, it continues to be tight. We just had another report today. Keeping to your talent, the good people, continues to be a challenge. And as I just said, it's more than just paying your team and paying them well. You also have to think about benefits and other elements. Those actually can be key differentiators. Now, what's happening with a lot of companies, especially during the fall to the end of the year season, it's time when benefit enrollment, redoing all of those benefits tend to be considered. They're taking time to review their benefits to see where modifications need to be made. And it's kind of important that you get a good solution that allows you to manage a report on all of those benefits. You could see what kind of costs you're looking at. You could see what's going on, people using it, not using it, and you could see it all in a single application, which is actually pretty cool.
Agreed. And I think that the thing that's been happening, if you look at cybersecurity or payroll, in order to be able to effectively manage those benefits or time and attendance or buying an applicant tracking tool, oftentimes that stuff leads to increased costs, and it also makes it more complex for the end users that are actually doing the work. When you really look at a business as a whole, I'll ask you a quick poll question, or I'll let Jimmy do it. How many tools do you actually have in your environments? Jimmy, if you want to tee up that question, you can go for it. And then if you want to put them in the chat, would be great to see.
Love to hear them all, but how many tools, Tanya, Dustin, are you guys, do you need to effectively manage your HR?
Right.
Okay, from an HR perspective, are we going to see if anybody in the audience wants to provide any of that? Actually, you can, if you can, James, just take a look to see if anybody responds and share that with the chat results. But I will tell you this: if you're in HR, you know that you're typically working with a bunch of tools, and unfortunately, many of them don't integrate. You're dealing with a lot of manual processes. You're likely spending way more time than you have to be able to do anything more than be reactive in HR. It's actually very difficult. So when it comes to tools, each environment is really different. So there really isn't a straight answer to say you should have 2 or 5 different HR tools because each environment is unique. But there are great systems that offer that all-in-one platform. So many of those HR functions that you are handling in different ways and applications and stuff like that can be done with a single application. You can have access to a variety of reporting within that same single application. And oh, payroll, imagine payroll being automated. An all-in-one solution can save you a lot of time, reduce a lot of that manual effort, and also reduce risk of errors. We didn't talk earlier, but one of the things I would have pointed out about payroll with that unappreciated payroll and IT folks is, boy, oh boy, if there is a mistake on that paycheck, that's a big problem. And we've heard some pretty big stories from some big companies, not mentioning any names because we don't do that. There were some big errors in it, and it was quite high as far as numbers.
Yeah. Just a reminder, everyone, Tanya, that was a spectacular answer. If you guys have more questions for the panelists here, we'd love to hear them and answer what specifically is affecting your business. But Dustin, kicking it over to you, how many tools do you need to stay cyber safe and compliant?
Yeah, again, I mean, I think it's similar to what Tanya had mentioned. The tools can really vary from everything that we had talked about on the page before, whether it's protecting your cloud applications or whether it's firewalls or your email or data protection loss and just staying compliant. I mean, the tools can go on and on. There's over 4,500 cybersecurity vendors that are out there today. To choose from, which can make it also complicated just from a buying perspective on what tools they actually need and what's important, or do they just buy tools that could collect dust? So really, the same thing with payroll that it is with HR, or payroll that it or HR as it is with cybersecurity. The markets are both so saturated that it makes it really complicated on a buyer to know what's really important to them in order to be able to allow the business to actually effectively operate. And with that being said, I mean, you shouldn't really
Hey,
have to
Dustin, if I may,
Yeah,
I want to
please,
put one thing in there as well. You
please.
talked about the saturation. There's also a lot of people out there that say they're cybersecurity and they're not, and that's a whole other problem that that we've seen out there. That's actually really a big deal. People are taking advantage of fear and charging people a lot of money and not doing anything to protect their environment. Sorry, I
Agreed.
just couldn't help myself on that one.
Agreed. No, it's fantastic. Thank you. And really at the end of the day, the key to any IT person or HR professional, if you ask the CEO what their main job is, and if you really break it down, it's to be able to enable the business, right? Employees need to be able to use multiple different types of softwares that need to be protected, right? They may need to clock in or clock out from different locations. They may have different benefit plans. They may need different flexibility to store information, right? And same thing goes with whether it's tax implications or regulations on the cybersecurity side. Neither one of those things have really ever been higher. So the time to be able to pay employees and be able to respond and remediate the threats has really never been more relevant. And at the same time, CEOs, CFOs, HR professionals, because of the pressure to be able to grow the business, are really expected to be able to do more with less. So therefore, what has happened is that many folks are starting to seek consolidation of these tools in these two buckets in order to fill these gaps. Now, don't shoot the messenger. This is from Gartner, right? That many organizations are seeking, many organizations are seeking for consolidations, really for a few pretty specific reasons that really go to both HR and security. One, a lot of tools that are built out there are built for enterprise organizations or big HR teams or big security teams. They're typically pretty complex. They require a ton of manpower. And what that does is it makes it more complicated to really improve your overall risk posture from a security side. It makes it more complicated to effectively onboard and offboard employees, be able to effectively collect time and attendance, effectively be able to get people into the right benefit packages. And then lastly, buying multiple tools can really be costly, and obviously buying, having additional folks can be costly. And then you might need services. You might need an accounting firm to potentially help you manage your payroll, or an MSP to help you manage your cybersecurity. So all these costs continue to add up. So the market's really shifting right in front of our eyes. And what Gartner found is that 75% of organizations are starting to seek consolidation to fill these gaps, which is up from 29% just in 2020. So it's a wild jump that we're seeing in the market with all technology. When consolidating, we really do need to take a step back and think a little bit differently about how you're going after your business, right? So a lot of solutions on the market are only going to protect you from, like I said, in security, from one attack vector, maybe one service on the payroll side. Is just really good at time and attendance, which forces you really to manage multiple platforms, with a high price tag. So, multiple tools, again, can be very time consuming to operate and limits your insights into your full environment. So consolidation on the security side is going to provide a really the end user is really simple to use, one place to monitor your overall environment. And over here at CORO, we call this unified. Going over to the UZIO side of things, I'm going to throw it over to Tanya to kind of talk about, how consolidation and what they're seeing with their customers as well.
Well, so old world used to be paper and or spreadsheets. And new world is your employees expect to be paid on time, no errors. They want their information on the platform and availability of information that they use, like on their phones and so forth. If they're in the service industry, they want their tips to be paid out on a daily basis. Many expect direct deposit. Believe it or not, there are some payroll companies, depending on the industry, that they only let you issue payroll checks, or paper checks, I should say. Wow. Can you imagine? But then again, there are some people that they need to be paid by paper checks, and some payroll companies cannot do that. We believe it's all about our customer and enabling them to pay their employees in the way that they need and when they need it, and not having to pay a provider for each payroll cycle. Your solution provider, in this case, we're speaking to the payroll that should be your solution provider basically should be anticipating and offering you the type of cutting edge solutions, but they should also be able to help you with integrating all these things together. So it again is a single way of managing payroll and HRIS.
Awesome. Now, getting into what we've seen from some of our from this whole mindset of consolidation, looking at what it looked like in the whole world, means that in the security side of things is that, compliance and regulations should be managed in the same security system. So what this does, by unifying all of these tools, this type of a mindset will reduce the need to be able to have to buy additional compliance add-ons to every single different tool that you need to put in your system or put in your environment to be able to protect it. So security, and our main thing that we've seen is that what people are looking for is that, security and compliance, tools, they shouldn't be complex, and they really should go hand in hand. Similarly, when you look at an HR side of things. So Tanya, do you want to talk a little bit about, the simplicity of what customers are looking for today?
Yep.
From a HR system?
For sure. As a manager, I could tell you, we applaud when we have access to everything in a simple, we like to call it pane of glass, which I know, Dustin, you and team also use. Having a management console with all of that information there. Too many people still struggle with those disparate systems, complexity, time-consuming, manual processes. These days, that's not an acceptable way to operate. We just don't have time for it, and we don't have the resources. Our technology has come too far for our customers to accept anything less than a solution that simplifies and unifies all those processes.
Yeah, and I think that what we're hearing here, I mean, if you hear everything that Tanya is saying, that I'm saying, yes, we're talking about two vastly different topics, but at the same time, this is a real problem that's out there, and why UZIO and CORO saw a lot of similarities, with why we're going to market. Because yes, we're talking about two different departments, but that simplicity, that cost, that ease of use, and being able to really enable your business can go hand in hand with either company, whichever one that you're really, looking at addressing. So in order to do this, again, going back to that whole old world mindset, in order to unify things, in the old world, it was possible, similar to what Tanya said, right? Like it was possible to do payroll. You could do spreadsheets. You could, I actually have experience in both payroll and cybersecurity. And, believe it or not, but 20 years ago, we were collecting shoe boxes of check stubs to make sure that the taxes added up the correct way so that we could pay them effectively. So there's always been ways to do this, but in the only way to really do this, from a cybersecurity standpoint was, in the old world, you would have to buy what's called a SIM. For those of you that don't know what a SIM is, it's a security incident event management tool. And what that would do is take all of your systems and all of your tools, and they would throw it into one system. That was great, but it created a lot of noise. So out comes a technology called SOAR. SOAR is called Security Orchestrated Automated Response. The reason why this became powerful is because of, you don't have to be an expert in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a big thing. But what they were looking for was to offload some of that work. So both of these tools were built to really offload work. So SOAR, Security Orchestrated Automated Response, was able to allows you to actually automatically remediate threats that are coming to your environment. By extension, what you have to do is, you have to get a large team or a third party to help remediate. So going back to the whole concept of consolidation becomes really important to make this, to really help folks just move on with their day-to-day lives, because IT professionals are seeking really a less complex, they're looking for something holistic. And at the same time, CEOs and CFOs and compliance officers are all seeking just to reduce costs. They want to stay compliant. They want to stay safe. But most importantly, they want to be able to enable the IT team to really help the business grow. And the same could be applied if you look at it from an HR perspective, right? So Tanya, if you want to talk a little bit more about, how, what you've seen, an all-in-one type of a concept on the payroll side of things, of how that can help an HR person help, a CEO and CFO meet their goals.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dustin. Yep. Don't know about you, but we all seem to be getting busier every day. And frankly, it's a kind of a great thing to have. But when you're growing your business, you should not have to worry about repetitive tasks, jumping from application to application, billing, onboarding, payroll. And definitely, God, you don't want to be worrying about manual things or working on spreadsheets. Let me tell you, a lot of people still are. We are looking at all-in-one technology that's available now that's really changing the game for many of those. It's saving people hours and hours of time, again, thanks to the technology. Now we can be, or you can be more competitive and focus on growing your business, with these kinds of all-in-one payroll solutions or solutions on the cybersecurity side.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to pause real quick. And are there any questions real quick? Because we are going to give a shameless plug here in a second, because of another parallel that both UZIO and, I know we really haven't talked a lot about UZIO or talked a lot about CORO by design, but we will give a shameless plug on our product. Another parallel we're going to talk about here in a second is just what it looks like from a pricing perspective. We believe that it should be pretty transparent. So we're going to show you what that looks like on both of our sides here in a second. But before I do that, are there any kind of questions that we have, Jimmy, in the chat, or any questions that you see out there that you have?
Yeah, reminder everyone, just throw them in the chat at the bottom. I can read them out for you. We give it a couple seconds here.
Live
and if there are any questions, obviously, you can definitely, we can provide emails at the end. You can always get back to us at another time. But Dustin, as of right now, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
Okay, great. Well, let's carry on. So when you look at, what it looks like from a CORO standpoint, we can both protect on cloud and we can protect on prem. Now, remember, there was 3 problems when it came back to that Gartner slide, and that we want to touch on again, right? You had reduced complexity and simplify operations. We had improved risk posture. We had reducing cost, right? Those 3 things for either tool. are going to be incredibly important. So what we've done over here at CORO specifically, and I'm going to throw it to Tanya here in a second, is we've unified all of your building blocks and your security tools really to do one thing. And this is something that we've been talking about, is to simplify operations. So we help organizations prove out to customers, examiners, insurance providers that you're really doing the right things right. And for only $12.99 a user, we provide you a fully co-managed, full enterprise grade cyber defense system at the price of just one of the single building blocks that you'll see over there on the left. We can go ahead and just protect you, your office, and just your cloud environment as well. It's a cost-effective way to provide you the security that you need, whether you're protecting, both, either just your cloud, or you're protecting both a cloud and a hybrid environment. Regardless, we have a white glove service where, if you receive a direct line to one of our cybersecurity experts, and they act as an extension of your staff to be able to help you provide the best practices during business hours. Tanya, do you want to talk a little bit about the all-in-one model from UZIO?
Sure. Well, first, I do like to say we don't really like to talk about pricing. When it comes to our customers, it's really more about understanding their requirements and guiding them on what is best going to fit their needs. Frankly, the conversation should only focus on their value and benefits. That being said, we do like to talk about transparency, or shall we say lack thereof, in pricing. As you're looking at solution providers, are they being transparent with their pricing? Are they sneaking in add-ons? Be careful about that. And also, if you look at our pricing, one thing I will point out is on our pricing, it's one time per month. With most other providers, it's per pay period. And that actually is a big deal, especially if you're doing bi-weekly, weekly, and so forth. So transparency in pricing is actually really important.
Agreed. All right. Well, with that being said, let's just open it up for any kind of Q&A that we have. If anybody wants to throw any comments or questions in the chat, that'd be wonderful.
I've got a question for both of you guys.
Okay.
If I'm interested in learning more, how can I contact you?
You can go ahead and we'll put our information in the chat, and you can go ahead and contact us, or you could go to on our end, at least, CORO.net, and you can actually sign up for a free trial. Yeah. You can actually sign up for a free trial with us and take a ride on the system.
Terrific.
Good question, James.
A couple more seconds here. I'm still not seeing any questions in the chat, but like Dustin said, we can go to the websites, CORO.net or UZIO.com. With CORO, I know we can get out free trials. Reach out to a customer service representative to answer any questions you have, or you can reach out to me or Dustin directly. I'm sure Tanya would love to field some questions as well on her end. Yeah,
it looks like we do have a question. I'm assuming, based off my expertise in both fields, that this from Brian is a question for Tanya. Have you serviced any high volume temp agencies?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. As a matter of fact, we're going to be down at Staffing World this next week, and we're going to be talking about some very, very interesting things that's a unique need when it comes to the staffing companies, and that is imagine payroll and billing together. Something that has not really been offered before.
No,
so yes,
that's
some pretty cool stuff. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, and when it comes to staffing and temp,
that's a huge deal.
They've got huge challenges. I cannot tell you about revenue leakage, AR being building up, bills not getting paid. Yeah. So
yeah, I spent a lot of time in payroll, over 15 years, payroll and HR, and I would lose deals all the time because they would have to use those staffing specific, even though it was really difficult for them. They would have to use staffing specific payroll and HR systems just because it was so complicated to bill, because payroll's tied directly to the billing for payroll and HR.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's great. That could be a game changer. That's awesome.
Yep. Staffing world next week.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. All right, it looks like we don't have any other questions at this time, so we can either sit here and you can have a fireside chat with Tanya and I, or you guys can have 30 minutes back in your day. I would suggest take the 30 minutes. Tanya and I are not that interesting. And we'll move on from there and we'll send the recording out. James, did you have any closing comments for us?
Yeah, really appreciate everyone jumping on here. End of quarter is a big time and a busy time for everyone. So hopefully you found some use out of what our panelists had to say, some great information. And that's only scratching the surface as well. I highly recommend getting 30 minutes with either one of these guys and really taking a deeper dive into the industries that they're running because there's so much useful information that you can really get back to help your business thrive. But I really appreciate everyone jumping on here.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.